Hello, everyone, and welcome to War Whiskey Podcast. My name is Justin Fisher, and today is a very, very special day because we are debuting a song on our podcast. I've been really wanting to get into the music venue, get musical guests on here, and I reached out to some veterans, and they're kind of like, I don't have anything written yet, blah, blah, blah. And people tend to do that when you put them on the spot, but it's not necessarily untrue. However, this band reached out to us, and it was just floored. The band is called Ashes to Omens, and they are a five-piece rock band from Georgia. You can kind of relate them to Breaking Benjamin, Nothing Remains. I feel a little bit of Perfect Circle in there. I can feel it just from the song that we're going to debut. And the song is called War Cry. It's not even out there yet. That's how awesome this is. It actually drops on Spotify and iTunes and all those venues on October 2nd. But the song is about releasing your inner warrior to combat depression. And it's fitting because September is Suicide Prevention Month. And we've talked a little bit about it last week. So at the end of this podcast, we'll debut the song. And you guys will be some of the first ones to hear it. The next week, we'll call the band in and have the band on Skype or on a phone call so you can hear what they are all about as well. But I encourage you to check them out, Ashes to Omens. I'll have all the links posted in the descriptions of the podcast. You can check them out. I've talked to them a few times. I really enjoy it. I think they're going to be a great band. But it leads us to a bigger topic. So their song is called War Cry, about unleashing the inner warrior. And right now we are in a very depressing 2020. Basically everything has happened. It's kind of like I've seen a lot of memes of The Cabin in the Woods. If you haven't seen that movie, it's actually a very well done horror movie. Very satire, very funny. So many great references in that movie. As a film guy, I really enjoyed it. And you're just waiting for something to pop up next to kill everybody. So we went through Rona, murder, hornets, hurricanes, fire, tornadoes. I don't know. We'll see what comes up next. We got a few things coming up, but it's been an overall depressing year. Depression is a really big thing in the military. A lot of people suffer from it. A lot of it's based off the actions that you had to do. Some of it's based off of the fear of transitioning, the fear of war. Because let's look at how the military creates depression for just a second. Not just so much that like the toxicity that can happen, because we've already talked about toxicity in here and how people can be toxic and make that environment and create the depression of, that environment of depression. The Army, you get real dependent on the Army. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You get real dependent. The 1st and the 15th, or close to it. You get clothing allowance if you're active. You do move a lot. And, you get semi-free medical. You get good medical. That's pretty much free. I know it's debatable, but I really enjoy TRICARE. But if you take all that away from a person, that starts creating this depression. And you see a lot of it happening when people start to retire and things of that nature. They don't know what's going on. Or in the career fields. The mantra for this month is, it's okay not to be okay. It's a pretty decent statement. You see a lot of it on these channels when they talk about people staying at home because of the Rona and all that stuff. But let's really look at that for a second. It's okay not to be okay. Well, that's perfectly right. Yes, it is okay not to be okay. We all, as I said in earlier podcasts, we all process things differently. And we all have different triggers. Every one of us are capable of committing suicide. And you're like, well, I'm not. I'm nowhere capable. I guarantee you the people who have committed suicide probably thought the same thing at one time. We all have a series of triggers. We're human beings. It's all chemical reactions that come to that. They elicit emotional responses. But a lot of this, it's okay not to be okay, comes from the past. And we look at, the 22 a day and all that stuff. Let's really get back to the root of when the army started. We're talking about the army and the military in general started doing combat rotations. And of course, societal constructs have played with that too. Um, but when we started doing the active deployments to Iraq during starting in the early 2000s till now in Afghanistan and all that, we had this bolsterous hubris about ourselves that we thought we would just go in there and dominate. And for all intents and purposes, we did. We followed the same template. We bombed infrastructure because human beings have to have some kind of structure. If they don't, they run wild and crazy. If I turn the heat off in your house in the middle, or the air off in your house in the middle of summer for 15 minutes, you try to kill each other. It's a fact. That's how it works. That's how the U.S. attacks people. Attack infrastructure first. Create chaos. We went in, dominated, did all that, but then the casualties started happening. And they started piling up. And the Department of Defense really didn't know what to do with it, right? They didn't know how to handle it. This wasn't supposed to happen. This is not something that was in the works. So how do we usually fix problems? We usually do at first we usually do a knee-jerk reaction. So when you when you demobbed from your deployment or PCS back to your unit, whatever you did, they had to ask you, "Hey, you got problems?" Well, yeah, I can't sleep. Take all these pills. One of those will make you sleep. It's probably one of the most uncomfortable things in knowing that the brave men and women that you served with, I was infantry, so mostly men, these guys that you've staked your life in for the last 15 months, now they're shells of themselves because they got fried on high-powered pharmaceuticals because they were just following the doctor's orders. You got people so scared to even ask for help because they're worried about getting fried by these events. And shame on you, VA. You're pathetic for doing this to the soldiers. And it's like, I remember in '05 standing in a formation. Um, I want to say it was in November of '05, maybe it'd be the month before, might have been October. But I remember the sergeant major. I don't know if it was a battalion or brigade sergeant major, but was like, "It's okay." Basically, he said it's okay not to be okay, but before it was a shtick. Before it was a mantra. Um, and certain people I knew raised their hands. Raised their hands. November of '05, they did a mass promotion. And all those guys who raised their hand were not in that promotion. And a lot of them, and even me, a lot of them still today think it was because they raised their hand and got blackballed. Because their thing was, well, I can't trust you. You can't handle your emotions. I can't trust you. So it creates this stigma of not wanting to talk about it. And that just develops. It's like a splinter. You don't get a splinter out of you. It's just going to continue. It's either it's going to work itself out in some violent way, or it's just going to keep getting festered. And that's what you had. And even in 2008 and 9, or 8, when we got back the second time, I remember I said to the VA person, because it was a weird sleep schedule, and I wasn't on my sleep schedule yet. And she goes, so you had a problem sleeping? I said, yeah. But it's just because of the transient and all that stuff. Wasn't nothing crazy. And she started writing all these notes down, and I asked him, I said, what are you doing? Oh, well, you having problems sleeping? That's right. I was like, no, you take it off. I said, it's just because we are transitioning over. That's all. We're just transitioning over. That's all it is. And I actually made her take all that out, because all it was that. We then, then we went back, and funny story was the VA contacted me. I think it was like in 2013. That was the end of '08. So 2013, the VA contacted me, asked me if I ever received medicine for sleeping. So hey, great job. be a great moment there. Which I was fine once I got actually calm, like in the area where I could sleep normal. I was fine. But the military in general creates this climate of that, but you can overcome it, and that's what the song is about. The song is about uh, unleashing the warrior within, because you have to have that warrior mentality. Because if you look at the wars we're fighting now, because of the advances in technology and training and all of that, yeah, they are. They are. I mean, I was in some of them. They are hairy. Yes, absolutely. They are. They are fierce. But we're not fighting with spears and swords on the battlefield. We're not fighting at Bastogne or D-Day. And you put that in perspective. And you're like, well, people are changing. A lot of society constructs come into it. However, I believe a lot of it is that we've lost our warrior spirit and mantra. So, is it okay not to be okay? Yes, it is okay. It is. Well, that concludes our podcast for today. As I alluded to earlier, this is a part one of a part two. Part two next week, we'll have the band on in the interview. So, without further wait, I present to you from the band Ashes and Omens. Here is War Cry on War Whiskey Podcast.